Welcome to the key concepts for TruNatomy, the key concepts of the file and the key concepts of the protocol.
TruNatomy is a dentine preservation file. So that means it can shape apically, but it will preserve dentine coronally. It's got a variable taper and an offset mass of rotation.
It's a superflex wire, and it's a recognized system with the orifice opening, the glider, and the shaping files.
So here we're going to use the Orifice Modifier to open, the TruNatomy Glider to achieve the glide path, and the TruNatomy Prime to do the apical shaping.
Let's have a look at the hands-on for this sequence. We're now going to have a look at the basic protocol for the TruNatomy system. We're going to walk through the files we're going to use and the step-by-step on a simple case.
So if we have a look at the TruNatomy files, we've got the instruments, hand instruments that we're going to be using are the size 10. This is going to be used for scouting the canal. This is the Orifice Modifier, so the slightly sort of shorter opening file, which is great. And then we've got the glide path file, this white one here, the TruNatomy Glider. And then finally, we'll do the apical shaping using the TruNatomy Prime. To check our gauging at the end, this is why we have the size 25, the red hand file.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the first thing that we can do on those TruNatomy files is have a look at the flexibility. So it's a superflex wire, and why is it different from the other files that we've looked at?
So this has got, as you can see here with the bend, it's got controlled memory. So the instrument will have been heated up and cooled down. It creates this phase of nickel titanium. The advantages for the user, you can imagine on a difficult to access molar tooth, you can pre-curve to get in. The heat treatment, as we've discussed before, confers that higher cyclic fatigue property to it as well, so it's less likely to break in your hands.
Yeah.
So if we look at the canal that we're going to shape, so we've got a curve here on this molar tooth. We're going to look at preparing and releasing the coronal here first before we rush to get the apical preparation completed. Releasing up here makes the job down here so much easier. And we're going to start off with a size 10 hand file. We use a little pre-curve, don't we?
Yes, just put a small curvature just at the tip of the file. It goes around any blockages, any calcifications inside these canals. It allows you to find the orifice and just have a feel for the canal, see where the file leads to. And you get to about, probably in this case, 2/3 of the way, and then you start to work.
Yeah, absolutely. So you've got an idea what's going on. So that's moving up and down. We've got a canal that's there and patent. So now we're going to use the Orifice Modifier to do the coronal shaping of the root canal. So we'll just bring that in, we'll locate the canal, and then we'll start the shaping process. You can see I'm just brushing away from the furcation here, 2-3 working passes just to release those interferences.
And you tend to brush on the way out with this.
Yeah, exactly that. And now we'll put a little bit of hypochlorite going into the canal. And then we'll come back in. We're just going to scout, and we can see already that is now going a lot further down purely because we've done the release up here in that coronal part.
Absolutely.
That's how important it is.
Yes, so release the coronal aspect to get to the apex. Always do it in that sequence.
And I've got my apex locator attached here. So down we go, we get our 0 reading. Yeah. And I'm quite comfortable taking my glide path file to 0. I'm happy with that.
And we are happy to take our glide path files to the 0 reading because they are smaller than what anatomically apices tend to be. So we're not losing that form that we need later for obturation.
Yeah, exactly that. So now we've got the glide path file, the TruNatomy Glider in place. And then we're just going to take that down to the 0. So 2, really easy flow. That's the beauty of TruNatomy. You have lovely control to it. That cross section just allows that beautiful kind of user control of the instrument that we've got.
And as you watched John's instrument going in and out, there is no brushing. It's more of a letting it lead you in and come out, lead you in and come out. It's that gentle up and down movement, smooth and soft.
Absolutely. And now we're just going to get in there, a little bit of irrigant. You can see a bit of hypochlorite if we want to, and that just cleans everything out. I would go back in with my size 10 just to check. As you can see there, we've got patency, lovely flow to it. And that's just bringing a bit of debris into solution. So let's go back in again, a little bit of hypochlorite just to flush any of that debris we brought into solution there.
Lovely.
So glide path achieved.
To our 0 reading.
Now we're picking up our TruNatomy Prime, which is our shaping file, which is going to come 0.5 mil back.
Yes, absolutely. Perfect. And why do we tend to advocate that 0.5 millimeter back?
So I think that the 0.5 millimeter back comes from the fact that you've got an instrument here which is a size 26 at the tip. I don't want to over prepare the apex because it makes it harder for me to contain the obturation. Simple as that.
Yeah.
So we can start that running. And again, nice control. We've got that 1, 2, 3, nearly there, not quite. Don't push it. If we start pushing it, what are we pushing down there? Debris, basically.
Resist that temptation. Although you're almost there with your working length, if you're not there after those 3 working passes, just come out, irrigate, size 10, recapitulation, make sure you still have patency, you bring all the debris into solution, a little bit of a hypo, make sure everything's unblocked, and you can go back in with your TruNatomy Prime, your finishing file, and everything will glide very smoothly.
We just make sure, inspect that the file's nice and clean. If we need to, we can use the sponge just to do that. Now, this is where we're pretty close, aren't we, with the TruNatomy here? This is where this file is different. So typically with an instrument that is a shaping file, we will hit apex and then we come out. But with TruNatomy, because it's such a super elastic file, that it's relatively small, as we come down to the apex and we're now at working length, we're going to go and revisit working length 2 or 3 times, just like that, so that we will create a really positive shape apically, which will have such an important effect on the accuracy of the obturation with TruNatomy. So we can then use our irrigant, just make sure we're not blocked, back in again, see we've got lovely patency, nice and easy, and then we can come back and do a little bit of irrigation again. So we've measured the length of the canal, but what we haven't done yet is measure the apex.
We have 2 measurements in the canal, the length, as John said, which was our working length, and the size of the apex. So this is our apical gauging. We need to know what size the apex is so that we can retain our obturation. We simply use a stainless steel hand file, size 25, which is very close to the TruNatomy Prime, which is a size 26. We place it at our working length, and then we place a little bit of digital pressure on the handle just to make sure that it sits there.
Yeah, and I think now we've got a TruNatomy Prime preparation gauged to a size 25. So we know that if we pick up the matching TruNatomy Prime GP cone, we're going to have good fit and it's not going to pass through the apex, so the obturation will be well controlled.
Absolutely.
Now, TruNatomy is a great file system. It enables you to treat a huge diversity and actually quite a lot of complex cases as well. We've seen here the very simple protocol using the opener, the glider and the Prime. But we do have a very significant choice of files with TruNatomy. So if you're interested to see how that works, feel free to join us for some other videos.